Are you tired of all the bickering and inevitability to get things done in our federal government? Do you feel that we are going backwards as a country? That we need real universal change in Washington, D.C.? Let's explore how we need younger and more motivated United States senators in office. My name is Nikolai Dressbach, and I'm running to be your next United States senator representing California. For too long, we've allowed other states to dictate our laws across the country without being rightly represented in the United States Senate. This is where I come in. I will fight for the 40 million people living in the state of California to have an authentic voice in Washington, D.C., and make sure that we have an authentic voice for the future of Californians in this great country. Right now, all 50 states have 2 senators in Congress. This has led to a lot of dissatisfaction in the ranks of Washington, D.C. We need leaders to come forward and truly lead our country into the 21st century. Right now, the country is taking steps backwards when it comes to voting rights, women's rights, our environment, and political corruption. According to Nature.com, one of the biggest things to come out of the overturning of Roe v. Wade will not allow women to safely have access to care if they make the choice to have an abortion. A potential consequence of restricting access to abortion is that people might try to end their pregnancies without supervision. This is dangerous and puts women's lives at risk. Just 2 months ago, a doctor from Indiana provided care to a 10-year-old girl who was raped and became pregnant. Now the Attorney General of Indiana has tried to investigate this doctor. Her name is Caitlin Bernard. And now we are in a dangerous area of where we can end up prosecuting doctors for providing care to victims of rape just because they got an abortion. A solution to the matter would be to codify Roe v. Wade into legislation. We do this in Congress, and it allows a woman's right to choose freely and make it clearly a private venture because it's about women's choice, and what they do with their bodies and those choices they make are none of our business. This federal government overreach is clearly not what we need in Washington right now. And one of the ways that government officials are trying to force their agenda that isn't popular with the majority of the country is trying to strip down the public's voting rights. In the New Yorker, it was recently published that the Supreme Court is about to rule on a case, Merrill versus Milligan, that would strip down the Voting Rights Act and disenfranchise millions of voters. Supreme Court Justice Ellen Kagan said, "I'm interested in whether you think, as a matter of federal law, as a matter of the Voting Rights Act, you are prohibited from enacting a plan that has 0 majority-minority districts." One of the many ways this has been proposed is forcing people to have government identification when they want to go vote. These voter ID laws discriminate against the elderly, people of color, and people who live in poverty that like to vote and go to the polls. So one of the things I want to do to fix this matter is immediately enact a new Voting Rights Act to work with the current administration to make sure that everybody has their voices heard and there's easier access to voting. Right now in Los Angeles County, we have one of the best voting systems in the country. Anybody can go vote. They don't have to go to a select poll, which makes it a lot easier for anybody to maybe if they go to work and there's a polling place right next to them, that they can go and vote and make sure their voices are heard. Opponents of this will say that I mentioned here know what's at stake. The more people that vote, the more they lose. And when they lose, we win. And they don't want us to win. So they use these disenfranchising methods to use across everybody to push their ideological beliefs. In the state of California, we do say one thing: Eureka. We have all the tools at our dispense to actively change this country for the better and for every single person who lives in the United States of America. We don't want to go back to the harrowing days of our past where many people didn't have rights in this nation. We want to be the people that moved our country forward and for the better. So when you go to vote in this upcoming election, vote for me, Nikolai Dressbach, and I will fight for you.